G'day folks, everything new under the sun. Today we're going to take a look at Mount Hermon, the prophetic significance of it. What is Mount Hermon? Where is it? Where is it mentioned in the Bible? And what does it have to do with the Nephilim and the UFOs and fallen angels and the future of our existing world? We're going to take a look at these things. And so first of all, we're going to take a look at what is Mount Hermon. So Mount Hermon is the mountain referred to, it's in the Middle East obviously, we're going to have a look at where it is, but it's one referred to in Enoch and the Bible, but specifically in Enoch it's referred to as the place where the angels descended. 200 angels descended to the summit of Mount Hermon, which owes its name to this very occurrence because they bound themselves there to fulfill their purpose on the penalty of herem, anathema, and this is from the book of Enoch reading, and you'll note that I have a whole playlist going through the book of Enoch where we read this. And so it continues, unto whom they taught charms, conjuring formulas, how to cut roots, and the efficacy of plants. The issue from these mixed marriages was a race of giants, 3,000 ells tall, who consumed the possessions of man. When all had vanished, and they could obtain nothing more from them, the giants turned against men and devoured many of them, and the remnant of men began to trespass against the birds, beasts, reptiles, fish, eating their flesh, drinking their blood. Then the earth complained about the impious evil doers, but the fallen angels continued to corrupt mankind. And so in our Enoch series, we looked at the top 10 forbidden knowledge items that the angels brought with them, and there's probably more than this, but these are the ones mentioned in Enoch, which in large part parallels the Bible quite well. There are known forgery chapters in it, and I took a look at a book by Ken Johnson, an ebook, and he notes the known or the suspected forgery sections of it, but the other sections he notes are very plausible and parallel the Bible in many ways. And so very likely it is a historical document. So some of the demons here, we'll just go quickly over some of the forbidden knowledge they shared with mankind. Shemhaze instructed them in exorcisms and how to cut roots. Armeros taught them how to raise spells. Barakel, divinations from the stars. Kokabel, astrology. Ezekiel, augury from the clouds. Arakiel, the signs of the earth. Samsawil, the signs of the sun. And Siriel, the signs of the moon. Now, so check out my top 10 forbidden knowledge from the book of Enoch, from the Nephilim video, and the playlist as well. A little bit of history about Mount Hermon. So Mount Hermon, also known as Har Hermon, is a mountain cluster in the anti-Lebanon mountain range. Its summit straddles the border between Syria and Lebanon, and at 2,800 meters, 9,232 feet above sea level, it is the highest point in Syria. On the top there is a Hermon Hotel in the buffer zone between Syria and Israeli-occupied territory, the highest permanently manned UN position in the world. We're going to read a bit more about that later. The southern slopes of Mount Hermon extend to the Israeli-occupied portion of the Golan Heights. What I will add is that they won that land through battle. They were attacked and they gained land, and through international law, they're not occupiers of that land, they are owners of that land because they were attacked and they they won that land in war. So it goes on, where the Mount Hermon ski resort is located. A peak in this area rising 7,336 feet is the highest elevation in Israeli-controlled territory. Mount Hermon is a place of extreme spiritual significance, and this is what we came for, to hear about the spiritual significance. What about the UFOs? What about the Nephilim, etc.? Not only is it a place where the fallen angels landed when they fell, but it is also the place where Jesus Christ made the proclamation that he is the Messiah, right there on Satan's domain, and that's found in Matthew 16. Situated 25 miles north of the Sea of Galilee at the base of Mount Hermon, Caesarea Philippi is the location of one of the largest springs feeding the Jordan River. This abundant water supply has made the area very fertile and attractive for religious worship. Numerous temples were built at this city in the Hellenistic and Roman periods, and you can go to BiblePlaces.com to find that. The Grotto of Pan. The spring emerged from a large cave which became the center of pagan worship. Beginning in the 3rd century BC, sacrifices were cast into the cave as offerings to the god Pan. Pan, the half-man, half-goat god of fright, thus panic, that's the fright, F-R-I-G-H-T, is often depicted playing the flute. The city known as Paneas has been corrupted in the Arabic language to its modern name, Banias. Encyclopedia Britannica states that Hermon means forbidden place. A 4th century translator of the Latin Vulgate, Jerome, interpreted Hermon as anathema. Mount Hermon was the port of entry for a group of evil angels who corrupted the human race in the days of Noah. So just as we were reading in the book of Enoch, there effectively. Moses wrote, "The sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all they chose. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that." So after the flood there were giants still existing. "When the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown." And that's from Genesis 6. And I've got videos on giants, so check out the videos on giants. Search my plays for giants and you should find them. In an article by the late J.R. Church, he states, during the ministry of Jesus, he and his disciples visited Caesarea Philippi, where the Jordanian River springs forth from the slopes of Mount Hermon. And he's referring to a photo. One can see the grotto and the cave where Baal worship was in full swing. While observing these shrines, Jesus posed the question, whom do men say that I, the Son of Man am? That's from Matthew 16. Jesus was standing in the territory of his great enemy, Satan, and his idolatrous Nephilim. It was the area out of which the Antichrist would rise. And I don't think Satan is a great enemy at all. In fact, he's very weak compared to Jesus, but he is the enemy nonetheless. Satan hates God and Jesus and wants to kill all the Jews and wants to have his throne rise above the throne of God. This is a plan Satan and his fallen angels have been developing since the beginning. And you had better believe that the Nephilim are here among us today. They can appear as humans, demons, or remain completely invisible, operating in the shadows. The exciting part of this is that we are the generation who will see these things unfold. Some of them are terrifying, while others are exciting. Nonetheless, we are on the brink of the appearance of the Antichrist. And I absolutely believe that. If you're following my morning prophecy updates and my general prophecy updates, you absolutely know we are absolutely in the time of the end, near the Lord's return, a couple years away here. So it goes on. Who will come from Mount Hermon? So this is suggesting that the Antichrist will come from Mount Hermon. The United Nations being at the top, the highest point. The New World Order, the Illuminati, the Nephilim, Freemasons, elitist serpent seed, yes. He will come through this people, a race whose bloodlines have been kept pure evil, in brackets, ever since Lucifer and 1/3 of his angels were cast to earth. With that in mind, howbeit the United Nations has strategically placed the biggest and the most important base at the very top of Mount Hermon. Isn't that interesting? The highest point, exactly where the fallen angels landed, is just like a second Tower of Babel, something from that Nimrod created. A similar thing. They're placing their building on the highest location in the Middle East there. The place where ancient Baal worship and blood sacrifice took place. The place that has been spiritually marked as evil. Here's another interesting note that might surprise you. According to J.R. Church, in 1666, Louis the 14th of France authorized the building of an observatory in Paris to measure longitude. This was the beginning of the Paris Zero Meridian. Believe it or not, according to the Paris Zero Meridian, Mount Hermon and the ancient territory of Dan is located at 33 degrees east of the Paris zero meridian longitude and 33 degrees north of the equator latitude. The 33rd degree became an important part of Freemasonry, probably due to a history that dates back to the Knights Templar, the French Merovingian dynasty, and their family ties to the Danites. 7 interesting facts about it. So Mount Hermon is located in the highest point in Israel, and it covers an area of 5,000 acres. It rises about 2,814 meters above sea level. It is believed that in the past the mountain arose to 4,000 meters above sea level, possibly pre-flood. So wouldn't that be interesting? If pre-flood, that was a very significant and one of the highest places on Earth. The name Hermon is derived from the Hebrew word pronounced Kerman, or meaning abrupt. Is that where the fallen angels abruptly fell? Mount Hermon is mentioned a few times in the Hebrew Bible. One example is found in Deuteronomy 3:8. And we took the land at that time out of the land of 2 kings of the Amorites that were beyond the Jordan, from the valley of Arnon unto the Mount Hermon. The Bible also refers to Mount Hermon as Mount Sinir, or Mount Syrian. Mount Hermon is called the Eyes of the State to mark the 3rd battle of Mount Hermon during the Yom Kippur War in more recent history between the Israeli army and the Syrian army. Mount Hermon is also mentioned in the New Testament. The book of Matthew tells of Jesus and his disciples journeying north from Bethsaida on the Sea of Galilee to the city of Caesarea Philippi at the southern base of Mount Hermon. Many people believe that the Transfiguration occurred somewhere on Mount Hermon. So more spiritual speculation there. Since 1981, the Israeli-occupied portion of the Golan Heights has been governed under Golan Heights law. Only in Mount Hermon you can find a ski resort in territory held by Israel. And geographically, Mount Hermon is a separate part of the Golan Heights. So again, in the Bible, where is it mentioned? It's also mentioned in Psalm 133, speaking of the dew of Mount Hermon. It's also noted in Psalm 42:6. It was always a religious place, probably because of the abundance of water, the fertile fields on its lower slopes, and the springs at its base. Judges 3:3 indicates that it had its own god of fertility. In Roman times, there were temples on its slopes, including one at Caesarea Philippi and one on its summit. The lesson Jesus taught at Caesarea Philippi, near the foot of Mount Hermon, was highlighted by the mountain's massive rock peaks, its beautiful snow-covered slopes, its rushing streams, and its sacredness to the pagan population. So where is Mount Hermon in Bible prophecy? Where does it come up? As in the days of Noah, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. And to that point, there's many legends and stories of UFOs, giants, and demons, all associated to Mount Hermon, general paranormal activity associated to Mount Hermon. And there was a BreakingIsraelNews.com article out and a video about by creator Samantha Siegel, and she made a video on the Dead Sea. Her newest video is called Paranormal Biblical Geography, so you can look that up if you want to look that up. The geological analysis begins at the northern tip of Israel, Mount Hermon. The snow-capped mountain is the northern terminus of the Syrian Rift, a tectonic fault line that runs for 3,700 miles. Mount Hermon is mentioned in the Bible as the home of the Nephilim. So in Genesis 6, the Nephilim were in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. The same were of mighty men of old, men of renown. There are indeed some evidence for this. Siegel notes that the strange site in the Golan named Gilgal Rephaim, a wheel of giants, remains a mystery to archaeologists. What you're looking at here is the mysterious Wheel of Giants. It is a 5,000-year-old setup or configuration or building, or whatever you want to call it, structure. And it is as old as Stonehenge, apparently. The mysterious giant wheel made of 40,000 tons of stone is as old as Stonehenge, scientists say. The Wheel of Giants was found by Israeli archaeologists after the Six-Day War in 1967, and it's not immediately obvious from the ground and the structure of Rum El Hiri is most clearly visible from the air. It's made up of 5 circles of stone with heights up to 6.6 feet, with an outer wall as high as 8 feet. Siegel quotes the Book of Enoch, attributed to the great-grandfather of biblical Noah, an apocryphal book, 2nd century BCE, source discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls. And so in Book of Enoch 6:6 says, "And they called it Mount Hermon, because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it." The Book of Enoch claims the name of the mountain is derived from the Hebrew word cherem, meaning to be banished. The Nephilim were banished, sent from heaven to earth at Mount Hermon. She notes that the valley, the deepest depression of the face of the planet, now filled with uninhabitable salt water, was first encountered in the Bible as a fertile region. The Hebrew word siddim can also be read shedim, or demons. Siegel suggests that the saltiness of the Dead Sea can be likened to a salt circle used to ward off or contain demons. That's interesting. According to a prophecy in Ezekiel, the Messianic era, the Dead Sea, will also be fed by waters flowing down from Jerusalem to its region, a veritable Garden of Eden, I should say. So it goes on, this video particularly, about the geography, but most significantly is the giants, the Nephilim, and the UFOs that are spoken of around Mount Hermon in general. And Mount Hermon does have a lot of weight to it, biblically, spiritually, related to supernatural events. And so what will we see in the end times? What do we expect out of it prophetically? Well, it's conjecture and speculation at this point, but I would suggest that if it's as in the days of Noah, and the Bible says, "So shall the coming of the Son of Man be," then we will see some paranormal activity coming from, in, and around Mount Hermon. And will it play a major role? With the information I provided being the highest height, and the UN having a building up there, and incredible pictures that you've seen through this video, we could very well see demons and giants and very incredible supernatural sights and events coming from Mount Hermon. So I hope that helped somebody, and I hope that was interesting and provided some good background and information on Mount Hermon. Definitely check that out, and definitely go Google it. See what other articles there are about Mount Hermon and its significance historically, currently, and prophetically in the future as well. So I will leave it there for today, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Okay.